Is your country on the list? Asian nations banned from US visas in 2025. Visas denied. Flights grounded. Borders closing faster than ever before. Across Asia, families are arriving at airports, bags packed, tickets in hand, only to be turned away. They're not going anywhere. What's happening? Some of these countries aren't your typical names on a no-fly list. In fact, they've been longtime partners of the US, but now the door is slamming shut, and this time, there's no warning. This isn't a rumor. It's already underway. Entire nations are being cut off from entry. So, which countries made the list, and why now? Stay with us, because the names you're about to hear are facing bans, travel suspensions, and visa shutdowns that could affect millions. Number 10. Afghanistan. Visas cancelled. Borders sealed. For thousands of Afghan families, hope is disappearing fast. Afghanistan is now under one of the strictest US travel restrictions of 2025, not just a delay, but a complete freeze. As of June 9th, nearly all US visas for Afghan citizens outside the country have been blocked. Student visas, gone. Family reunifications, halted. Business ties, cut off. And it's not just due to concerns over national security or government instability. Even those who risked their lives to support US forces, translators, contractors, aid workers, are now left in limbo. Green card applications are frozen mid-process. No interviews, no departures, no answers. This isn't just foreign policy, it's personal. Thousands of loyal allies now feel abandoned. And here's the question on everyone's mind. Could this freeze become permanent? If Afghanistan made the list, who's next? Number 9. Myanmar. It started quietly, no headlines, no press conferences. Just rejection after rejection at US embassies. Now, it's official. Myanmar is facing US visa restrictions in 2025, and the freeze is spreading fast. As of June 9th, visitor visas, student applications, and work permits for Burmese nationals are hitting a wall. The reason? US officials cite rising document fraud, identity verification issues, and Myanmar's worsening political crisis. But here's what they're not saying out loud. The people paying the price aren't criminals or threats. They're students, families, and professionals, people with no ties to any controversy, just dreams put on hold. Interviews are cancelled. Appointments vanish. Applicants are told they're administratively ineligible, a bureaucratic term that really means you're stuck indefinitely. And with no strong media coverage or diplomatic pushback, Myanmar is slowly being iced out, one visa at a time. Could this turn into a complete freeze, like Afghanistan? Or is it a test run for a wider Southeast Asia crackdown? Either way, for thousands of Burmese families, the door is closing, and no one's giving them answers. Number 8. Iran airport terminals are telling a story, one of heartbreak. Iranian families arrive with suitcases packed, documents in hand, only to be told no. No delays, no technical errors, just denied. Iran has been under one of the most comprehensive US visa bans since 2017, and in 2025, that ban hasn't lifted. In fact, it's gotten even stricter. Today, nearly all categories of US visas for Iranian nationals remain frozen. Student visas, blocked. Family reunification, denied. Business, humanitarian, even cultural invitations, refused in most cases. The official reason: national security concerns, limited diplomatic cooperation, and challenges in vetting. But here's what rarely gets mentioned. It's not just officials being blocked. Ordinary Iranians are being swept up. Students accepted to US universities. Patients approved for medical treatment. Artists invited to international events. All denied. Some had approvals in hand. Others had appointments scheduled. Now, everything's in limbo. Many of these Iranians have family in the United States. Parents trying to visit their children, grandparents hoping for one final reunion. Now they're left with video calls and fading hope. And with no functioning US embassy in Iran, applicants are forced to travel to third countries, only to be told they're still ineligible. This isn't temporary. This ban is indefinite. And unless diplomacy breaks the deadlock, that door may stay shut for years. So who's next? Number 7. Yemen. Flights cancelled. Embassies silent. Families split across continents with no way to reunite. Yemen isn't just on the US radar, it's under lockdown. As of June 9, 2025, the US has extended and strengthened a near-total visa suspension for Yemeni nationals. If you're outside the US without a valid visa, your application is going nowhere. This isn't new. The restrictions began under earlier executive orders, but in 2025, they've become even more rigid. Cited reasons include national security risks, weak documentation systems, fear of terrorist infiltration. But what's unfolding on the ground is far more human. Yemeni American families, many of them US citizens, are now trapped in limbo. Parents trying to bring over their children, spouses separated for years, students stuck abroad, unable to return, medical patients with no access to care. And let's not forget, Yemen is amid one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Most of these visa applicants aren't traveling for luxury. They're fleeing war zones, seeking medical help, or trying to reunite with loved ones. Yet unless you're applying for a rare humanitarian or diplomatic exemption, your application won't even be reviewed. Some desperate applicants have traveled to other countries, hoping to process visas elsewhere. But it doesn't matter. If you hold a Yemeni passport and don't fall into a tiny exception list, your chance of entering the US is almost zero. So what happens now? Could the freeze lift someday? Or is this the new reality for Yemenis worldwide? Before we move on, hit subscribe. The next countries on this list will shake more than just headlines, they'll shake hearts. Number 6. Laos. Quiet, overlooked, almost forgotten. Laos, a small landlocked country tucked between the bustling streets of Thailand and the rapid rise of Vietnam, rarely makes the global front page. Its story is often one of calm, a peaceful nation of temples, rivers, and resilience. But in 2025, that silence has been broken. Not by war, not by protest, but by exclusion. As of June 9th, Laotian citizens are facing a new, harsh reality. US visa doors are closing, fast. Tourist visas, denied. Student permits, stalled. Business and work applications, blocked, indefinitely. And behind these sudden rejections is a rarely discussed, but powerful US law, Section 243(d) of the Immigration and Nationality Act. It allows the United States to impose visa sanctions on any country that refuses to take back its own nationals who have been ordered deported from US soil. And according to US officials, Laos is now on that list. The logic is bureaucratic, the mechanism is legal, but the impact, devastating. Here's the deeper truth. It's not deportees paying the price. It's not the criminals, the overstayers, or those caught in legal limbo. It's students, families, entrepreneurs, and young professionals, people with no ties to immigration enforcement at all, who are now being quietly shut out. Visa interview slots are being cancelled without notice. Others arrive at the embassy only to be told they are administratively ineligible. A vague phrase, a cold verdict. Translation, you're blocked, and we can't tell you why. What makes this even more alarming is the silence surrounding it. There are no major headlines. No heated debates in Congress. No diplomatic protests. Just a slow, invisible freeze-out. The US Embassy in Vientiane still operates, but insiders report that approval rates have plunged dramatically. And unlike larger, more influential countries, Laos lacks the geopolitical leverage to fight back. No global spotlight. No high-stakes trade deals to negotiate. No powerful diaspora to lobby for change. Laos is simply stuck. For many Laotian families, this is more than a visa denial. It's the collapse of a dream, to study abroad, to reunite with family, to attend a business conference, to access medical treatment. Each rejection is a quiet heartbreak. Each cancelled interview, a silent shutter on someone's future. So we ask, is this just the beginning? Is Laos a warning shot, a message to other Southeast Asian governments that non-cooperation comes with consequences? Because if visa warfare is the new tool of diplomacy, then the quietest countries may face the harshest penalties. Laos may not be the first. But if this strategy continues, it almost certainly won't be the last. Studio microphones, stay with us. The next country on this list will take us deeper into a region where access is no longer a right, but a privilege denied. And the consequences are only just beginning to unfold. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if these stories matter to you. Because while the world looks elsewhere, we'll keep bringing you the truth behind the policies that shape lives. Number 5. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan, a nation already known as one of the most closed-off places on earth, just became even more isolated. But this time, the walls weren't built by Ashgabat. This time, the isolation is coming from outside, and from one of the most powerful nations in the world. In 2025, US visa approvals for Turkmen citizens have plummeted to near zero. Tourist applications rejected, students accepted into American universities blocked, family visits, emergency travel, business deals facing nearly impossible odds. So what triggered this sudden clampdown? It wasn't war, it wasn't terrorism, it wasn't even a specific diplomatic incident. Instead, it came down to one legal mechanism quietly written into US law, Section 243(d) of the Immigration and Nationality Act. This little-known provision allows the United States to punish countries that refuse to accept deported nationals by cutting off visa access in return. And that's exactly what has happened here. According to US officials, Turkmenistan has consistently refused to take back its own citizens who have been ordered deported from the United States. The result? The Department of Homeland Security has now formally triggered visa sanctions, and Turkmenistan is in the penalty box. But let's be very clear. The people being punished are not the deportees. They're students, young adults who earned spots in US universities after years of hard work. They're entrepreneurs, invited to attend global conferences and trade expos. They're families, grandparents hoping to attend weddings, funerals, or meet new grandchildren. And all of them are now being turned away without warning or explanation. No official notice, no appeal process, often, not even an email. Just silence. And that silence is deafening inside Turkmenistan. This is a country where the government controls all major media, where citizens are often cut off from international news, and where internet access is tightly restricted. Most of those affected don't even know the real reason they were denied. They just show up to the US Embassy in Ashgabat, or in neighboring countries, only to be told their application has been delayed, denied, or returned with no explanation. Their future, cancelled. The consequences are spreading fast. Students must put dreams of American education on hold, indefinitely. Business deals are collapsing as investors and partners can't travel. Medical patients, in desperate need of advanced treatment abroad, are stuck in limbo. And families, once planning for reunions, are now facing years of forced separation. This isn't just a visa freeze, it's a human freeze. A quiet severing of ties between people, institutions, and futures. So, what now? Will Ashgabat blink and agree to cooperate with US deportation orders? Or will the regime dig in, refusing to be pressured by American law, even if it means thousands of innocent people are left stranded by policies they had nothing to do with? Because make no mistake, this is not just a legal dispute. It's a growing diplomatic standoff. And the ones caught in the middle, ordinary Turkmen citizens, with nowhere to go, and no voice to speak for them. Studio microphones, stay tuned, because what's coming next shows this isn't a one-off event. This is becoming a pattern. And visa warfare is quickly emerging as the next frontier in quiet global conflict. If this story opened your eyes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because the world won't talk about this, but we will. And behind every rejected passport is a person with a story that deserves to be heard. Number 4. Cambodia. At first glance, Cambodia seemed to be thriving. Tourism was booming, new buildings were rising, and a young, energetic workforce was shaping the country's future. But behind that momentum, a quiet freeze has taken hold. In 2025, Cambodia officially joined the list of Asian nations under US visa sanctions. The reason? Once again, it's about deportation refusal. The US says Cambodia has consistently failed to take back its own nationals who've been ordered deported from American soil. And under Section 243(d) of the Immigration and Nationality Act, that triggers a powerful response. Visa categories start getting shut down. It began with military officials losing access to B1 and B2 visitor visas. Now it's spreading, fast. Business leaders, students, even grandparents hoping to visit family are facing denials. A scholarship winner ready to begin medical school, blocked. A grandmother invited to a graduation, rejected without explanation. This isn't a new conflict. The first wave of sanctions began in 2017, but in 2025, the pressure has quietly intensified. There's little media coverage, no outcry, just one rejection after another. The US Embassy in Phnom Penh still operates, but applicants report disappearing interview slots, longer wait times, and a growing pattern of administrative ineligibility, a bureaucratic phrase that means, your path is closed. So the question is this: will Cambodia reverse course and comply with US demands? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a diplomatic freeze that punishes regular people far more than policymakers? Number 3. Pakistan. It starts with a stamp, not on your passport, but on your future. In 2025, thousands of Pakistani citizens are waking up to a harsh new reality. US visa approvals are plunging, and for many, the door to America is closing without warning. The reason? The US has re-invoked sanctions under Section 243(d) of the Immigration and Nationality Act. This law allows Washington to suspend visa issuance to any country that refuses to repatriate its deported nationals. And Pakistan is now back in the crosshairs. This isn't the first time. Back in 2018, the US quietly sanctioned Pakistani consular officials. But in 2025, the crackdown has widened, now affecting students, professionals, and families. Doctors accepted into American residency programs. Denied. Business owners heading to global expos. Turned away. Grandparents hoping to meet their first grandchild. Refused. And what makes it worse? Many don't even know why. Lawyers are overwhelmed by confused applicants. Families feel blindsided, targeted by a policy that was never explained. There are no headlines, no public warnings, just delays, cancellations, and disappearing opportunities. Unless Islamabad acts quickly to comply with US deportation demands, this may escalate into a prolonged visa freeze, cutting off thousands of Pakistanis from study, work, and family in the US, and once that door slams shut, there's no telling how long it will stay closed. Number 2. North Korea. No embassy, no interviews, no exceptions. This is not rumor, it's not speculation, it's reality, one of the most impenetrable immigration barriers on Earth. In 2025, North Korea remains completely sealed off from the United States, and the door is only getting tighter. Under Section 243(d) of the Immigration and Nationality Act, combined with long-standing US sanctions, North Korean nationals have virtually zero access to American visas. Why? Because the North Korean regime refuses to accept its own deported citizens from the US, and under American law, that refusal comes with a price, a total visa blackout. But this isn't a new development. For decades, North Korea has been under one of the strictest US visa bans in the world. However, in 2025, that restriction has evolved into a nearly total freeze. Not just limited or symbolic, absolute. There are no tourist visas, no student exchanges, no family reunification programs, and almost no exceptions, even for those with urgent humanitarian needs. Even United Nations-approved travel is rare, and monitored under intense scrutiny. But here's the deeper tragedy. Most North Koreans never even get the chance to apply. There is no US embassy in Pyongyang, no American consular staff, no outreach, nothing. For those few North Koreans who do seek visas, they must first travel to a third country, usually Beijing, and navigate an already impossible system. But by the time they arrive at a US consulate, the answer is always the same: denied. No interview, no appeal, no explanation, and for those trying to escape repression, find medical help, or reunite with family abroad, that slim hope has vanished. They are locked out by two governments, not one. A totalitarian regime at home, and a foreign policy stance abroad that sees no path forward. This is not just a visa ban. It's a geopolitical freeze, a wall of silence between North Korean citizens and the outside world. And for those stuck in the middle, there is no escape route. The situation remains unchanged, with no signs of thaw. In fact, rising cybersecurity threats, missile launches, and human rights abuses have only hardened the US stance. So the question is, what happens to the innocent? To the students, families, and medical patients who never posed a threat, only held on to hope. Right now, that hope is fading. And for the average North Korean, the American dream isn't just out of reach, it's completely out of sight. Number 1. Syria. The war may have slowed, but the walls are still closing in. In 2025, Syria remains on a near-total US visa lockdown. Why? Because Damascus refuses to accept deported citizens, triggering Section 243(d) visa sanctions. But the story is bigger than that. It's about broken systems, collapsed embassies, and diplomatic ties strained beyond repair. Consular services, barely functional. Interviews, rare. Approvals, even rarer. And the people caught in this freeze. They're not combatants. They're students, families, and refugees, people seeking reunification, education, or safety. Applications sit in limbo, refugee resettlements stall, and for many, hope fades with every passing day. The US cites security risks. But the impact is deeply personal. This is not just policy, it's a blockade on dreams. And for Syrians, the path to a better life in America feels more like a mirage than ever before. For North Koreans, the dream of reaching America isn't just fading, it's forbidden. And the silence, it's global. Don't let these stories stay buried. Subscribe now and be the voice that breaks the silence.